What up? Your boy MC Shadow. Another video. Want to talk about now? Snitches, rats. My thoughts on it, and how I see everybody, you know, saying what they say, and thinking like, they know what's up. So, but before I talk about that, so the ones that be leaving like comments and all that shit, say like, get the fuck out of here, go back to Mexico with all that gang bullshit that we're fucking up the country and blah 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 blah. Now, although you're right, gangs are bad, and I agree and everything like that, it seems like you don't got your facts straight. You know what I mean? Because there's a reason. It's not a coincidence that every group that has landed here needed to round up together to form something to protect themselves. Like Asians, blacks, Italians, Muslims, Hispanics. It's because y'all motherfuckers don't know how to behave. You know what I mean? Like, you fools have a problem with everybody, and they had no choice but to like unite just to protect themselves. But it is what it is. Seems like people forgot about that. You know what I mean? Because although now like California and certain places like that is like full of pure Hispanics and stuff like that, at one point it wasn't like that. It was all whites. But since you guys don't ever want to share anything, you know what I mean? You guys, leave and push yourselves to a corner or whatever the fuck, just because you're not willing to even be in the same fucking state as the brown people. That's ridiculous. Now, like another thing, we didn't start groups like Hell's Angels, Nazi Lowriders, Sons of Silence, Warlocks, Skinheads, fucking Pagans, Rednecks, Peckerwoods, Backstreet, Wild Boys, fucking Aryan Brotherhood, fucking the Ku Klux Klan, the Nazi Lowriders, like, we didn't start all those. Those are all white gangs, you know what I mean? Like, Caucasian gangs, that started here in the United States. You know what I mean? And don't think that, okay, well, it's just a few white. Nah, like Hell's Angels, from what I gathered in my research, I mean, just Hell's Angels in itself is about 3,500 members. The Pagans were like about 1,300. Warlocks were like maybe like 300. Skinheads were like 1,300. Fucking Rednecks were like 860. Fucking, anywho, you get what I'm saying. Like, these are, roughly big organizations. As a matter of fact, in the United States, in police files, there's a total of 130, I think it was like 136,000 Caucasian gang members in the system. I don't know about you. That's a big number. Shit, that's bigger than some of these countries' military. You know what I mean? So that's a whole lot of white gang members. You know what I mean? And they have activities like drug sale, arms sale, murder, kidnapping, and everything else that every other group is associated themselves with. As a matter of fact, when I was seeing that shit, it said that Mississippi alone, Mississippi in their file, 53% of the whites in Mississippi were gang members in their system. 53%. That's a shitload. Go check the numbers. So anywho, we didn't start those groups. You know what I mean? So even if we were to go back, because gangs started here, so it's not like we just brought them over here and shit like that. You know what I mean? There still wouldn't be peace and harmony and everything like that. But it's so easy to blame game because people never want to take responsibility and People always want to blame the fuck ups on somebody instead of taking responsibility. You know what I mean? It makes it a whole lot easier that way. So before you want to talk, do your homework. So now, let's talk about snitches. Nigga snitches. Nah. Um, I started hearing it now, I guess more often because of Tekashi 6ix9ine and everything like that, and what he did and everything like that, and I hear people trying to justify what he did and stuff like that, saying that they never really had his back, and they were just using him for his money and boning his girl, and what kind of loyalty is that, and blah 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 blah. But what you guys have to understand is, one, going into this life, you already know shit like that's gonna pop off and shit like that might crack. Let's say, fuck it, your homies lied to you. Let's say you believe their lies, so you were manipulated, you were lied to. Let's say you were young, so you're naive. Let's say that they were your friends, and whatever. At the end of the day, no matter how young you are, no matter who you are, everybody knows what death is. And you know that this life comes with the consequences of a chance of dying or getting busted. And everybody knows what those are. But you still are willing to take the risk. You know what I mean? Two, the problem I have with people like that is like, it was all fine and dandy. You were riding that roller coaster and them waves, and it was all good, and he was over here jumping people and talking a good one and running, starting all this drama. People probably got fucking crippled because of that fool, and bombed on and shot at, and all kinds of shit. And woo, he was living it up. And it wasn't until he was in the fucking hot seat they wanted to turn. You know what I mean? That's where the problem is at. You know what I mean? So, one thing that people do a lot is they use the word snitch wrong. You can't call a civilian a snitch. You can't call everyday people that don't belong to no criminal organization. If you do not belong to a criminal organization or nothing like that, you can't call another person a snitch. They're a civilian. They're everyday people. They're supposed to call the cops, They're allowed to call the cops, like, what the hell are you guys talking about? You know what I mean? Like, how's that a snitch? Like, he's entitled. That's what people do. They call law enforcement. They have the right to call law enforcement. A snitch is somebody, like, let's say if me and you decide to do something illegal. We decide to do something illegal, so we go through it, whatever, and then we get caught, and then you, all of a sudden, because we got caught, you know what, this is not for me, and you want to turn on me. Like, nah, homie, like, if you agreed with somebody to do something illegal, how are you going to fold on that person or tell on that person, homie? So if somebody didn't agree with you on something, he's not a snitch. How are you going to call him a snitch? You know what I mean? He didn't agree to this shit, so he has every right to call the cops. He's an everyday civilian. A snitch is only somebody that belongs to an organization, agrees to do criminal activity, and then all of a sudden wants to fucking tell. Because they could try to justify it in whatever way that they want and everything like that. But at the end of the day, you're a bitch. Plain and simple. You know what I mean? You were down with all of this, and then all of a sudden now you want to fold. They don't work like that. If that was the case, then just stay in school. You know what I mean? And I hope people just stay in school and just leave the streets alone. You know what I mean? Educate yourself. See this fucking nonsense and bullshit that you got to be dealing with in the streets? It ain't even worth it. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, you can't call everyday people snitches and everything like that. And you can't justify what Tekashi did right. You know what I mean? Because he was running his mouth and starting up all kinds of shit. You know what I'm saying? So, he's a snitch bitch. You know what I mean? But that's what a snitch is. Snitch. So you guys want to be calling these other people snitch? Like, how's they a snitch? What did you guys agree on? Like, come on now. Don't use the word if you don't know what it means. But that's my thoughts on the whole view on it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just all of a sudden fold on the other person, you know. And you could try to say like, oh, I had family, I had this, that. Well, so does the other person, you know what I mean? But you're only thinking about yourself, you fucking selfish bastard. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you're sorry, you know. And people can't even say like, oh, how they want to say like, oh, well, hey, you should tell, you know, like say something. I don't know why these gang members like don't say nothing. Hey, whenever they get a cop for doing something illegal, like the one that killed George Floyd, the other police officers don't want to say anything. You know, they got a cold roll silence that they can't turn on their fellow officer. So you're not willing to tell something illegal happened, but you're not willing to say nothing to protect your fellow officer. That's funny. It's kind of how gangs work. You know what I mean? Or when they get some kids, you know, whatever, you don't want to tell them his friends or whatever, or you don't want to tell on your buddy who you know who did something illegal. You know, it's code of silence, huh? Kind of like what gangs do. You know, like everybody always wants to flip it in their favor, and whenever it's at the convenience for them, and then when it's not, they want to be talking and wolfing a good one. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I know. Trying to paint us as the villains, you know? Oh, look at their stupid rules. When y'all motherfuckers be doing the same shit all the damn time as well. So, educate yourself, bro. And start taking responsibilities for your guys' fuck-ups. Alright? Everything isn't the Mexicans' fault. I'm just saying. See shadow in my mouth.